In a not-so-distant future, Earth had fallen under the rule of beings from ancient dynasties. These powerful entities were known as the Old Gods. Driven by greed for dominance, humanity made a grim choice. They offered a queen to the bull god. From that union, a horrifying creature was born. As the beast matured, so did its appetite. To keep it satisfied, a harsh decree was passed in the shadowy kingdom of Minotaur. Every 3 years, 8 young men would be seized and sent into a twisting maze to be devoured. Just a few days earlier, on a chilly hillside, Zack and his friend Daniel were out watching over their flock. Suddenly, a dark figure appeared in the distance, hazy and hard to make out. Daniel said his father had warned him about this man, calling him a sign of bad things to come. Later, back at their tent, Zack told his father about the eerie sight in the woods. He also spoke of the young woman he loved, the one taken to be given to the beast. Zack questioned how many more lives had to be lost to uphold a cruel rule born from old grudges. Though his father tried to reassure him, Zack wasn't at peace. Elsewhere, Daniel visited his girlfriend Mona and confessed how scared he was that she might be taken next. At the same time, a few of the village elders, including Zack's father, debated whether to resist Beck and his forces, but fear held them back. They knew rebellion could lead to total destruction of their home. One morning, Zack noticed wolves heading toward the flock. He rushed to protect the animals, but one was killed before he could act. While chasing off the last wolf, he spotted an odd symbol etched into a tree. Curious, he followed the trail and came upon a cave. The same mysterious figure from before appeared and gestured for him to enter. Inside the cave, Zack met an elderly woman with a wolf companion. He showed her the tree symbol, saying he recognized it because he carried the matching piece. He pulled out a broken metal charm, one that belonged to the girl he loved, who had been taken to the maze. The old woman told him the girl was still alive, not yet sacrificed. She explained that she was inside the labyrinth beneath the palace. Though Zack was unsure whether to believe her, she said that if he truly wanted to save her, he would have to slay the creature known as the Minotaur. That night, Zack dreamed of his beloved being dragged away. At dawn, his father woke him and told him to take the knife and hide. The soldiers were approaching. Zack admitted he had spoken to the old woman, but his father insisted she was full of lies. The Minotaur, he said, was no ordinary being. It was a god, and no human could destroy it. That night, while Zack was in the mountains as instructed, the soldiers raided the village. Still haunted by the old woman's words, Zack couldn't stand by. With resolve, he ran back home, only to see the soldiers already leaving with the chosen 8. Without hesitation, Zack stepped forward and took someone's place. A girl nearby saw everything. As the group was led away, Zack's father watched with sorrow in his eyes, quietly saying goodbye to the young ones being taken. In the middle of the vast ocean, the 8 young captives were locked inside a large metal cage. While they waited, Zack spoke with another boy named Tio, who had never liked him much. Zack declared that he would defeat the beast. Tio didn't believe a human could do such a thing, even though deep down, he wished the same. Before Doolin could push the girls into the pit, Zack interrupted, saying that the girls wouldn't be the ones to slay the monster. But Doolin shouted for silence and introduced the Hubble, the princess of the kingdom. She held up an animal skull and made the girls breathe in its fumes. Once that was done, the gate was opened, and Doolin began to summon the beast. At first, nothing happened. Then the dark outline of horns appeared, followed by a deafening roar. In the chaos, Zack and Tio tried to strike, but were overpowered and caught right away. Doolin then gave orders to prepare the pit. All 8 were to be sacrificed together. The group was locked in a holding area, awaiting the ritual. Meanwhile, the princess instructed her servants to bring Zack to her. She had been told by the old witch that he would arrive. Zack was drugged and taken to her chamber. There, she attempted to seduce him, but he resisted her completely, and even threatened her. Unbeknownst to him, Doolin had been secretly watching everything. The princess also spoke of a girl from the last sacrifice, Laura, the one who had once meant everything to Zack. Suddenly, Doolin and his men stormed in and seized Zack. Though he fought back, he was quickly overpowered and drugged once more. Doolin warned Laura would be in danger, then ordered Zack to be dragged to the pit, where the creature was waiting. The rest of the young captives were also brought in and separated. Once Zack was inside the maze, the others were dropped in through different paths. Zack could hear their terrified screams echoing all around him, not knowing where they were or what was coming. Nearby, The sound of heavy breathing filled the darkness. Suddenly, a horrifying roar echoed through the maze. The beast charged straight toward its first target. A young girl, not considered beautiful, was the first to fall victim and was devoured right away. Zack moved slowly, noticing an odd smell coming from a crack in the stone wall. He quickly realized it was the same kind of gas Doolin had used to knock people out. After breathing in a strong dose, he briefly hallucinated and thought he saw Laura, the girl he loved. Following the vision, Zack went toward the figure he believed was Laura, but it turned out to be Mona. She couldn't speak, and Zack couldn't understand what she was trying to say. Then a distant scream broke the silence, and they ran in that direction. Elsewhere, Vina had just shifted some rocks and uncovered a patch of dried blood. She was horrified and screamed, but that noise helped Zack and Mona locate her and Rat. Now the four of them were reunited and quickly discussed their next move. Vina wanted to flee immediately, but Zack and the others were determined to search for the rest of their group, still unsure whether they were alive or not. Meanwhile, Lisa was being brought to the king's private chamber, where she was expected to give birth to his child. But when she caught sight of one of the nearby pits, she chose to leap in instead, saying she would rather face the monster than go through with it. Back in the maze, Zack and the group arrived at the scene where the girl had been attacked. Blood was splattered everywhere, and scraps of her clothes lay torn on the ground. Huge footprints from the creature were clearly visible in the dirt. While examining the area, Tio appeared out of nowhere. He quickly covered the nun's mouth and signaled everyone to stay silent, warning them that the monster was very close. Tio said he planned to kill the beast but needed someone to act as bait. Rat agreed to help and hid, waiting to lure the creature out. Soon, something began to move toward them, and they jumped into action, only to realize it wasn't the monster at all. It was Liza, who had come to help. She claimed she knew an escape route and said her servant was ready to meet them. Vina didn't trust her and turned to leave, but Tor pleaded with her not to go. Just then, the monster appeared and struck Vina with its horn, killing her instantly. The rest had no choice but to run for their lives. After escaping the monster, the group stumbles upon another friend who was already there. With Liza's help, he quickly regains consciousness. They all continue heading toward what they hope is the way out. Just as the maid is about to open the door, Dan shows up with his soldiers. Panic sets in as they desperately try to break through while the sound of the monster's breathing grows louder behind them. Before they can escape, the creature bursts in, throwing someone aside and unleashing a deafening roar. Zack and Mona take off in one direction, while Liza ends up trapped by the monster. At the same time, Jack and the rest keep moving, unsure of where they're going. Suddenly, they run into a strange man. He tells them he's been surviving down here for a long time, living off rats and bugs. The man, named Tan, offers to guide them and leads the group through a narrow opening between the rocks. He shows them a rough map he sketched of the maze. Though he often rambles and speaks nonsense due to being down here so long, he also shares some helpful details. Meanwhile, Princess Lel has managed to escape the beast and is making her way deeper into the maze. Elsewhere, Dan stands at the edge of the pit, shouting to the monster, claiming he'll bring Liza back. Back with Tan and the others, they approach a door leading further into the labyrinth, and Tan opens it. Zack still believes Laura is alive and grabs Tan, demanding to know where she is. But the noise draws the monster's attention, and it begins crashing through stone walls, triggering falling debris. Zack, refusing to back down, finds part of the badge that belonged to Laura, strengthening his belief that she's still out there. He grabs Tan's map and pressures him again to reveal her location. After getting the info, Jack decides to go with him. Meanwhile, Tio keeps wandering through the maze and grows closer to one of the girls. Feelings start to build between them. Tio makes a promise, he'll get her out of this nightmare. They eventually reach an entrance to the palace and begin to climb. But while they're still ascending, the monster appears below. Tio begs her not to look, but when she does and sees the beast, she screams, alerting it to their position. Just as feared, the young girl panics and loses her grip, slipping during the climb. Meanwhile, Jack keeps walking through the maze until he starts hearing Laura's voice calling out to him. Moments later, she appears behind him, and he runs toward her, filled with joy. But that happiness vanishes when he realizes he's been hallucinating. He's actually holding Laura's lifeless body. The painful truth hits him hard. With nothing left to do for her, he knows he has to focus on helping those who are still alive. He leaves her behind and sets out to find Dan and the others. At the same time, Dan tells Mona to go back and wait at Tan's shelter while he continues searching for Rat. In the distance, he spots a figure and calls out to Rat, but something feels off. As he steps closer, Dan realizes it isn't Rat at all. It's the monster, charging straight at him. He yells for Jack to look after Mona. Zack hears his friend's voice echoing through the maze, but he can't figure out where it's coming from. Tragically, all Rat can do is hear the horrifying sound of Dan being killed by the creature. Fueled by rage, Rat throws the half of the iron medallion against the stone wall, sparking a small flame and igniting a bit of hope that there might still be a way out. Liza, who is nearby, reveals the truth about the Minotaur. She tells Rat that it was the creature who had killed the prince long ago. To cover up the disgrace, the kingdom blamed someone from Rat's village and forced the villagers into offering 8 young people every few years to settle a lie from the past. Liza urges Rat to fight back and destroy the beast. She leads him to a spot where gas is leaking through cracks in the rock. The smell is strong, and just as they examine the source, the Minotaur suddenly appears behind them with a thunderous roar. At that moment, Tio arrives and bravely launches an attack, but he's immediately struck by the monster's horn. Still, he refuses to back down and keeps fighting. Rat leaves Liza somewhere safe, telling her to hide in the water if the creature shows up. Then he returns to face the monster head-on. Zack finally reaches the scene, but it's too late to save Tio. Overcome with emotion, Zack screams at the beast, daring it to come for him. The monster charges straight at Rat, furious and wild. But right before impact, Rat dodges, and the creature slams into the wall, breaking open the area where the gas had been leaking. Dazed and buried in rubble, the beast stands up, part of its horn now shattered. Jay begins searching for the piece of the iron medallion to spark a flame, only to realize it's stuck in the monster's broken horn. While the beast is still recovering from the crash, Rat runs off, jumps on its back, and manages to yank the medallion free. As soon as he grabs it, the monster notices him sprinting toward the gas-filled zone and starts chasing him again. Jack quickly changes course and runs toward Elle's location, the only spot where he'll be safe from the fire. He frantically scrapes the medallion against the wall and finally gets a spark. Flames erupt fast, racing through the maze. Rat barely reaches Lyra in time. But the monster isn't so lucky. It's caught in the blaze. The explosion that follows is massive. Fire shoots upward, destroying the palace above and causing destruction everywhere. Jack and Liza dive underwater to survive, while the king and many of his people are crushed by falling rubble. Zack and Liza resurface, both shaken and still unsure if the danger has passed. Then they hear footsteps behind them. It's the Minotaur, still alive, but barely. Wounded and limping, it charges at Rat one last time, but Rat grabs the broken horn and drives it straight into the creature's mouth, finally killing it. With the monster defeated, Rat and Liza rush to escape. Along the way, they find Mona hiding with Tan. Rat calls them to come with him, and together they all flee as the entire place begins to collapse around them. And that's where the story ends. Thanks for watching this recap.